So I turn my podcast on, turn the volume up, push play to hear what these dudes will say. 'Cause for romance now I know that there are only hope.
And welcome back to Remember. My name is Bradley Toon. This is the first time I'm opening, trying to get a little piece of Brandon, a little piece of Mikey, a little piece of everybody. Hopefully I'm doing a good job, but we're excited. It was a pretty heated episode last week. We're excited to come back together. Hopefully be a little more on the same page, but we'll see. That's the thing. It's really unpredictable. We have the usual cast of characters. Mr. Mikey Blagg, how are you doing?
Never been better. Never better.
All right. Mr. Brandon Taylor, you doing good?
Man, I'm doing great. Happy Monday. And did you know that gophers are really just a redheaded stepchild of a woodchuck? I'll leave you with that.
Incredible. And all the way here in Arkansas with me is Mr. Nathan McDivitt. Nathan, how are you?
I'm repping my Wampus cat gear. Dave, I don't know if you knew this, but the mascot of our high school here is the Wampus cat, which is a mythical creature who has 6 legs, looks just like a wildcat, has 6 legs. 4 are so that it can run at the speed of light. You know what the other 2 are for?
Just looking ridiculous?
So it can fight with all its might.
I get it. Also, just to kind of keep topical, how cool of a mascot would a murder hornet be?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
Like, I want to jump on that now.
Mine was my mascot from my middle school was the bee, and it was just the plain old bee.
Just one.
Murder hornet is way better.
So cool.
It's your natural predator.
Yes.
Well, you've heard him talk, folks. And if I'm the cleanup from Greenup, then this is the vocal goat from Terre Haute. He does the intro to our song, to our podcast. Dave Frey, everybody.
Honored to be here.
Vocal goat. Wow.
Vocal goat, man. Take that, Tom Brady.
Oh, you're so witty.
I just came up with that right now, but
that's great.
And tonight, I mean, we're doing a really. This was a big fan voted movie, and it's about time. And Dave, you love this movie, right?
Yeah, I think I was one of the fans that voted for it. About Time is. I saw it in the movie theater. I saw it because I had a huge crush on Rachel McAdams, and then I also saw it because it looked charming, and boy was it ever. And I think that this was. I'm so glad that you guys have given me Glitter. I did Glitter and Dirty Dancing. I did get to redeem with When Harry Met Sally, which is a fantastic film. Yeah. But I'm so grateful that you guys held off. It's one of my favorite. I don't know if I can call it a rom-com because it is. It's definitely got some dude-heavy stuff in it, man. It's a family drama. It's like This Is Us, but taken to a sci-fi level, and I love it, man. Yeah, it's about time we did About Time.
That's a great set.
Brandon, what is wrong with your video?
This happens.
You got Dumbledore on your face.
That's how I like to keep
Fantastic.
things. So,
all right.
Well, I think we should jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's look at this poster, and everybody can say what they thought this podcast was based completely on the poster. And Brandon, we're going to let you go first.
All right, let me clean up a little bit. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Okay, so, I was thinking about what this poster could mean, and then it hit me. This movie was about a one-day romance where the dude is trying to get to his wedding, and he's getting stalled, and he's getting delayed. He's like, oh, she's not going to want to marry me because I'm late. Oh, this is terrible, and I've got red hair. This is awful. And then he finally gets there just in time, and Rachel McAdams looks at Domnhall, and she says, about time.
So clever. So clever. All right, I'll go next. When I saw this poster, I looked at it before I watched the movie, and there's not a lot there. And so after I watched the movie, I thought about trying to change it, but I'm just going to go with what I thought in the beginning. When I saw Notting Hill, I had very low hopes for this movie. And I looked at it and I thought, this picture kind of leaves a lot to be desired. It's obviously going to come from some scene in the movie. My thought was, with it being called About Time, and time in the title, this is going to be a scene where it's usually the dude has been not making enough time for the little things with the girls. So I thought, oh, they're in the rain. This is the first time, like maybe they're dancing in the rain or something. And he's finally coming to that point in the movie where he falls back in love with his wife or whatever. So I thought it was going to be something very superficial like that. Nate, Bradley?
Okay. So I saw it, and I saw the same. Love Actually, Notting Hill, Four Weddings, and so I was thinking romantic comedy, like I was thinking Notting Hill, but I thought About Time. Man, this just seems sad. I know they're laughing, but one of them dies. I assumed that it was her because she was the one who was in focus. I thought they were trying to give us a clue that she died, and that's all I got. Kind of boring.
Yeah, me too. Bradley.
Okay, for me, and real quick, this could be a hot take. This could be a theory. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's fair, but I do think in movies and television shows, typically the redhead male is the underdog, let's say. So not true. The most attractive guy, usually the awkward, unattractive dude. And I know that, Brandon, this may be a project for you, is find us a protagonist, good-looking male ninja in a movie. Maybe that could be
King David. Oh, nope. It's Bible. My bad. Let me work on that.
All right. Well, anyway, so for About Time, this looks like a wedding scene to me where they look like they're the bridesmaid and groomsmen in a wedding. And I took that phrase as like, it's about time. Like, it's about time this happened. They've been best friends, and she finally sees him for who he is, the underdog deal all along. And now it's about time they got together. So I thought that might be
okay. All right, Dave.
Revealing.
Yeah, well, like I said, I saw this in the theaters, and so I kind of saw the trailer even before I saw the poster. But thinking about it, like when I went into the theater, I thought there was going to be a wrinkle because, dagummit, Rachel McAdams is in every time-traveling romantic comedy in the history of mankind. She's in The Time Traveler's Wife. She's in, Midnight in Paris, which came out right before this movie. And then I thought, man, maybe she would get a chance to travel through time. But alas, once again, she is left behind in regular old time just to be messed with constantly. So, spoiler alert, she doesn't travel in time, but this movie is all about her not traveling in time.
I like it. Let's jump into this because there's a lot of movie to cover. So, Taylor, you want to get that first paragraph?
Sure thing. So, Tim Lake grows up in Cornwall in a house by the sea with his father James, mother Mary, absent-minded Uncle Desmond, and free-spirited sister Catherine, or Kit Kat. At the age of 21, Tim learns from his father that the men of his family have the secret ability to travel back in time to moments they have lived before. In order to time travel, they must be in a dark space, clench their fists, and visualize the memory they wish to travel back to. James discourages his son from using his gift to acquire money or fame, and Tim decides he will use it to improve his love life.
All right. So I'll kick this off. First thing I noticed was Ben Folds, and I loved it. So when I heard Ben Folds right from the get-go, that pulled me in a little bit because I kind of had a feeling this was a time travel movie based on what I'd heard, and I thought, I'm going to hate this. I'm going to hate it so much. But then Ben Folds. And so I thought, I'm going to give this a chance. Second thing I'm going to say. The
room I'm in, real fast, has 3 Ben Folds posters. Because every time I go to a concert, what I collect is the poster of the show. And yeah, Ben Folds, that song, encapsulates. So it almost telegraphs what's going to happen in a way. But yeah, go ahead, Mikey. Continue.
Second thing I'm going to say is a lot of times when we watch these movies, they go one of two ways. They go where it starts in flashbacks and catches you up to modern day, and you're just hoping you kind of understand what's going on. Or they've got the narrator, and they do all this opening that's so good, like with showing how much he loves his family, showing those traditions with like the movies, how much he just loves and respects his sister. And a narrator can make or break a movie. And this guy, that opening narration was so good. And so before we even talk about anything else he said, that part got me. I was in from that beginning. Anybody else?
Dude, it's Tim. It's Richard Curtis. And like, and you know kind of what you're going to get when you get Richard Curtis did Notting Hill, Love Actually, Four Weddings and a Funeral. So you know you're going to get a bumbling Englishman that is very well spoken. This one in particular looks like Ronald Weasley and Hugh Grant had a baby, and like he nails it. And then I think that it's like looking at a puppy or like a warm cup of hot chocolate. Like you feel the warmth. And dudes, this is what this whole podcast is about. Is dudes feel that warmth sometimes, especially Brandon, you know? And so, and we knew what we were getting, but man, you're right. The narration, dude, I wrote down some things. His mom, her fashion icon is the Queen of England. Like it said that his Uncle Desmond was the most charming and least clever man alive. His sister Kit Kat had eternally bare feet and elfin eyes, which means, man, she's crazy. We'll go on back to that. And then his dad, which I thought this was perfect. It says he always had time on his hands, always. Yeah. And I thought that was such a good foreshadow. He also was Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. So I mean, instantly I was hooked when I saw Bill Nighy.
Brandon has a new favorite character.
Do you not know he was Davy Jones?
I am so flippant. Look, I'm gonna tell you what. There's a lot that I didn't like about this movie, but you know what I did? I love the magic. Yep. And now that I know that he was the Lord of all of the evil dead under the sea, I am so fired up. Oh man!
Fantastic.
My first thought. I like you. The luckiest. I can play like 3 songs on the piano. That is one of them. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I know it. So I was immediately off to a good start. And then like the whole family deal, I was like, man, their family, like they just are there and they love each other. Like, this is so great. But then I had a thought, I was like, why do they love each other? Like, how does this happen? And then the dad, when he reveals the secret, hey, you can kind of go back in time. I was like, well, that's why. Like, he'll go back in time and like, well, we'll find out some of it later. But in my mind, I was thinking it's not when he just he goes back after he learns all this stuff and does things right or doesn't make the mistakes that he would have made. Right. But I thought initially that must be why they have such a perfect family. Man, I had one more thing that I forgot. So I'll come back to it.
Bradley, Brandon?
Yeah, I just think that the family acquires so much depth within the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's kind of crazy. Like, I really feel like the movie, you could have started writing different stories from there. Like Uncle Desmond could have had it. I just want to know, what's his deal? Why is he so quirky? And and with Kit Kat and even the mom, like the stoic mom, like what made her that way? And it just so much depth and so many characters having their own thing. You're already in. You know what I mean? You're in this family. And from the outside world, it may look a little quirky, but in their world, it's just like a perfect world of so many pieces that are fitting together. And I loved that. Yeah, the opening was awesome.
So, Brandon, you're saying for all you didn't like, you liked the magic. Did this beginning not get you at all?
You know what reeled me in the beginning? I love 3 things, okay? Movie nights, picnics, and ping pong. I mean, that's a dream.
He does love some ping pong. I can attest to that.
I do like it. And so when I was watching, just playing some ping pong tourneys, I thought, man, I remember me and old Jeff would get out there and knock around the old ball. I've always wanted to watch television outside when it rains. And I just love to eat, and especially outside. So I really thought, wow, this family is really special.
I remember the thing that I was going to say. So it's 21. He's 21 when he finds out. Is that right? Is that what you said, Taylor?
That's what yeah.
Like, do you – I guess I'm just shocked that he, like, never accidentally went somewhere. Do you think that that's even possible? Like, that like – right. I'm trying to think of a situation where I would be so, like, mad and just go in a place where nobody – because he would just be like, and, like, think about, I wish I could go back and
I wonder if it can't happen till you're 21. I guess he never said. So did Taylor – tell us about the time travel already? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
So then we need to talk about this whole first party.
Yeah, real fast before we jump into the time travel loop. I realized now, I remembered the reason I went to see it in theaters, yes, Rachel McAdams, but also Ben Folds at his concert said, hey, I played put this song in a movie that everybody needs to go see. And that's why I went to see it. And then lo and behold, there it was. So
did he write the song for the movie?
No, absolutely not. And I watched, I had the DVD. So on the bonus features, he goes, if I wrote this song for the movie, it wouldn't be this song. He's like, this is my song that worked. And he said, that's what great art is when two things can come together that didn't have any business being together and fit like a glove.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, continue with time travel.
Let's talk about the party, because that's before he learns of the time travel. This party, let me tell you something. If my family ever threw a New Year's Eve party like that, I'd hate it. I can't stand that many people in a house. That would drive me insane. But they have it. It's a killer party. And poor Tim, everything that could go wrong does. Anybody want to jump in?
I mean, you know from the get-go, like, I know Brandon came off the top ropes about him having red hair a second ago, but he, like, you could tell he's the underdog, like, from the get, like, this scene was like the classic, this guy's unnoticed, like, nobody would ever pick him. Clearly this is not, the time travel part is going to really serve to help him in the long run.
Mm-hmm. I will say that moment where, like, that really nice looking young lady waved at him and he waved, and you're like, connection. And then another guy walked in. Believe it or not, I have experienced that numerous times. So definitely agreed. He's I forgot what I was going to say. Man, y'all look great tonight. I love looking at y'all on Zoom.
Then they're dropping drinks on people. But the moment midnight hits, he's with that girl and he shakes her hand. And you can see the shame on his face. In that,
it's like an episode of The Office in a moment, you know.
For sure, it's
Scott's Tots, you know.
That scene is done so well, like
it was classic.
So, and you feel for this guy, and you think, man, this is going to be a tough movie to watch, and they don't like hold out on the time travel. It's immediate we find out about that. So then him and his dad are talking, and his dad tells him about clench your fists in a dark place. You can go anywhere you've been in the past, not in the future. And so he gets to relive that night. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This movie in the beginning had me so much. And when that time travel, like he explained how it all worked, I thought, man, I'm going to hate this. This is like, I enjoyed it, and now it's over for me. So I was very skeptical from that moment. And then he relived the party, and I thought, this is so good. Like that whole, like how he just dominated that party. It was incredible. So I don't know anybody else.
Well, and he kissed the girl. Like I think that's the moment of redemption where just shame. I mean, like I think I felt shame. Like I was watching, like, oh gosh, I should. And then he kissed her, kind of and she was just ecstatic. Like she. Yeah. I mean, gosh, she just was on top of the world.
Yeah, you don't see her again the whole film, but you're like, you know what? She walked away a winner, man. She's like, the price is right. She didn't win the car. She got the, she got the toaster, but it was a nice toaster. I'm proud for her.
She got to spin the wheel. Yeah. She's doing great.
The other part I kind of liked, I really liked, but I want to get to before we take up to the next thing, is he asked his dad, like, what did you do with this? Kind of tying into what you said, Nate. Right. And he said, I read every book, which if you give me that gift, that's the last thing I'm ever going to do. But he said, he started talking about, well, what about the money? What about this? And his dad had that speech about how that doesn't, I was like, man, that's so good. So I loved that whole scene. Brandon, a lot of magic's happening here. You got nothing to add?
Brandon, go ahead.
I don't have anything to add.
Brandon, you're usually the dad lover too. I know. Like, what a good dad. Right off the bat, you're like, this guy's weird and amazing. Like right away, he's like, you can't go back and I forget his what do we say? Make sandwiches with Helen of Troy. You gotta stay, in your moment and stuff. And I just was like, man, that's like a dad son thing to say, man.
Yes.
So I think that's worth mentioning too. Like it wasn't like he could travel back in time and alter JFK assassination, like anything like that. You can only go back to a point in time where he was, which is why he went back to the party, because he made it really dumb, or made her feel really dumb. I did love the line. He said, "All the time travel in the world won't make someone love you." It was the line, and then I think we'll get to how that kind of played out in the first sense. But I immediately wrote that down. I was like, that's going to be important.
All right. If nothing else, I think we can move on.
So the following summer, Kit Kat's friend Charlotte visits. Tim is instantly smitten, but waits until the end of her stay to tell her how he feels. She tells him that he should have told her earlier. Tim travels back in time to tell Charlotte in the middle of the holiday, but she says it would have been better to wait until her last day. Heartbroken, Tim realizes she is uninterested in him, and that time travel cannot change anyone's mind.
So if you're going to write a movie about time travel and you're going to cast a bumbling fool to see if he can master these powers and make any girl fall for him, you could not cast someone better than Margot Robbie.
Yeah. At her, like, I think, is this her first movie? Do you know?
It may have been.
Wikipedia, Taylor, do you know?
Oh, that's a good question.
Was that really Margot Robbie?
That was Margot. Yeah, it was Harley Quinn, man.
I'll tell you what, I thought she looked familiar, but again, she was so British. I thought, I've never seen her before. So
she's Australian. She's Australian in real life.
Talk British and Australian? No, they speak Australian. I answered a lot of questions.
She does accents well. Yes,
she does.
So
she has
Wikipedia
nice
says
eyes.
it says that this is her breakthrough film, but she'd been doing work since film stuff since 2007. So this is
a breakthrough.
Yeah, because there's not a guy that saw this. It's not like I hope he can make this work. Like, So that was just brilliant casting.
I think this might have been one. Like, there's so many like sections that are brilliant, and this is definitely one of them. To go back in time and see if you can, have a chance with Margot Robbie. Like, it's like, okay, like we can see this happening, and then for her to like play him, and you could see through the play. Yeah, like it's brilliant. Like that could use time travel to cut through decades of him trying. It's like, man, what a gift that you can go back and realize this person's. I wish I had that gift when I was young, is what I'm trying to say. Like, wasted so much time on people that had no care, And so that was a brilliant scene for me.
And as much as this is like a drama, that sunscreen scene was one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. Like, that was so good.
So at the beginning, he squirts sunscreen all over and is bumbling idiot. Then when it comes back, when he time travels, he's like, hold on a minute. I'll come over and I got to finish this page of my book. Then I'll put sunscreen on Margot Robbie.
And his sister just like rolling her eyes.
Right. And his dad, brilliant, is Bill Nighy in the back. His dad in the movie is always watching him either with a smile or a frown. And you can tell, like, his dad almost knows when his son has gone back in time because you can see he's like, oh, okay, son, I see what you're doing here. Like, you can almost see it in his eyes. If you watch it again, make sure you watch Bill, the dad character, because he's always watching his son with a smile or a frown.
Nate, Bradley, anything with that?
I mean, that opening scene was incredible. Or that suntan lotion or sunscreen was unbelievable.
Brandon, what you reading?
Oh, you know what? I'm nothing. I zoned out, and I do that sometimes. I used to get caught out in German class because it's a blank stare. Things go kind of fuzzy, but when you say my name, it always gets me back. Here's the thing, y'all. Like, Dave is so good at this. I love listening to him. Like, I probably won't listen to this podcast again. So it's just kind of fun to enjoy it. So I'm kind of quiet. Oh,
I didn't know you were in German. Defenster Putzen? Yeah, that means wash the window.
Gummibärchen haben? Yeah.
Yeah, Hassenpfeffer and eggs. Yeah.
Das ist gut. Yeah.
Right,
when you say that, I believe you. When Brandon does, I think he's just making it up, like completely.
Sauerkraut.
Nailed it. All right, let's
go on. I guess that Bradley.
Hey, we need to edit that, Taylor.
I think the only thing. I think the only thing is the way he asks out Margot Robbie at the end. I think where he just obviously the accent helps everything, but he's just so direct, right? He's like, I think I've fallen in love with you over these few months. You're obviously beautiful, but if you had no hair, if you had no teeth, and I was just wondering if you felt this. I can't exactly know how he landed it or ended it, but I was like, wow, well played. Like if there was ever a shot, that was the shot to take. I mean, he did everything right. I just thought the directness was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
I agree with all that.
Those British people, they're very direct.
I'll tell you.
All right.
All right. So Tim moves to London to pursue a career as a lawyer, living with his father's acquaintance, Harry, an angry misanthropic playwright. Tim visits a Dance Le Noir restaurant where he meets Mary. They flirt in the darkness, and afterward, Mary gives Tim her phone number. Tim returns home to find a distraught Harry, whose opening night of his new play has been ruined by an actor forgetting his lines. Tim goes back in time to put things right, and the play is a triumph.
All right. So just kind of going back to another movie we did that I hated. I didn't know that this little dude was in Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, he is. I
Taylor
recognize
told me
that in a heartbeat.
And I liked him in this. So
Is Harry? Is that who you're talking about? Harry?
Yeah, Tom Hollander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was out for that one too. So
Yeah.
I missed that one. I loved that I'm trying to think of what did it let off? Like he goes back and redoes the play scene. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's where he left off with that paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it. I loved it. It wasn't just about love. I guess it was love for like humankind, for mankind, and in that sense, like just so
Romance.
you could see this guy. He could see this guy win. But I loved it. I loved it. He had such a great night when he got home. He was like, well, I guess I'll go back and fix that because you had such a bad night. And so he went back a couple of times, which was hilarious to make sure that play went well. And it did, and it succeeded, which was really cool. I love that.
But even before that date, that turned into a date. Like who writes a movie and thinks, it would be a great way for them to meet in a club or a restaurant where it's pitch black, like the epitome of a blind date. Like that was so clever.
It was brilliant.
It's a real restaurant.
Dude, and this is the thing, like
wow.
It's the chain.
my wife is downstairs watching Hallmark, which they would dream of writing a meet cute. It's what they call it, meet cute.
I wrote that down.
It was as brilliant as what just
so
happened
good.
with Rachel McAdams and his. It's just about the dialogue and the and it's so brilliant. And then, of course, I don't know if we've got, but he travels back in time to help his friend with the play because his friend had a bad day, and it erases everything. And it's such a gut punch because you saw what you wish when you sit to watch Hallmark with your wife that you would see, because it was like, whoa, this has something for everybody here. And then he erases it all.
Okay,
and
Dave.
it's just, it's heartbreaking.
I did not understand when they were in that like gallery or whatever why she didn't know who he was, and that's why, because he went back.
He went back in time and erased the whole moment, man. He spent it. Like, I love Mikey Blagg. Mikey lived with me, but to erase the whole moment when I met my wife for Mikey Blagg's play, you better believe it's not happening. Where is what? But like, I would come back in another way later and be like, bro, I got you on this play, just not tonight. So
that's like, again, that's another reason, and it's what Bradley said, but that's another reason, like, you can tell this is the underdog and you root for him because he has the most perfect meeting with this girl, and he gives it away to help someone else. And like,
he didn't know he gave it away though.
But
he didn't know.
But he could have went back and redid that and then screwed the other guy over. Like, he had that ability. But
I'm gonna be honest with everybody. I hated this part of the movie. Like, up until the end, which we're not going to talk about yet, I hated this part, and it is all because I missed that play. Like, I was messing around doing something because I texted him. I was like, man, this is horrible. This is super rough. And then I get a message from like Taylor, like, dude, what's your problem? So I love the selflessness of, because honestly, for me, I'd have gotten to that cover just with the thing and
gone back to the day.
100%. I wouldn't have worried about that mean bearded Joker who was a horrible character in Pride and Prejudice. So that's pretty awesome. That makes me like that man a lot more.
Bradley, you got anything?
I mean, I agree with the selflessness part. I think the reality, though, is that he saved the director's butt not once but twice, and that guy may need to hire a new caster or something, because not only did one guy need to go over his lines, but a second one, and that's I think it's a little overkill.
It was very Harry Potter because one of the guys that he went back for. So, in case you missed it too, Tim was Ron Weasley's brother in the Harry Potter movies, but Uncle Harry's uncle was one of the play guys, but he was
Yes,
the play
he
guy that
is!
knew his lines. Yeah.
Oh!
What's his name? Uncle. It's Aunt Petunia
Vernon.
and Uncle Vernon. Very good.
Uncle,
yeah.
and he's the worst, man. Just like a walrus of a man. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I don't
but he
mean
was
to
so-
smack.
He's good in this. He was really good in his role in this.
For
one.
sure.
Yeah, he
for
was.
sure.
I'm sorry.
I think we've covered a lot of that. So
Yep,
now it's time to talk about how they re-meet. But before we do, I think it's time to take a break and hear what's going on at the coffee house. We'll be right back.
Hello, Talk to Remember friends. It's me, Haley. I've been on some podcast episodes before. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. It's okay. But what you probably do remember is the coffee house. We're the sponsors of this podcast. And something that we wanted to let you know, it's super exciting. We're reopening Monday, May 4th. Here's a little information about that. So we will be open to in-dining, limited capacity, but we will also be offering curbside. So just give us a call at the coffee house and tell us you want it curbside, and we'll bring it to you. Look out for some themed drinks that we're going to be doing with the guys from Talk to Remember. Follow us at the Coffee House Franklin on Instagram. Our address is 144 2nd Avenue North. If you get confused, there's a little construction going on. See the construction? You're at the coffee house. That's the coffee house in downtown Franklin.
And we're back. All right. So we've covered all about the first meeting, the way he helps his buddy, and now he's got to refix things with, what's her name in this?
Rachel.
Mary.
That's her.
Mary.
Mary, like his mom. All right, Taylor, take it away.
So, however, later when Tim tries to call Mary, he discovers that by going back in time to help Harry, the evening with Mary never occurred. He recalls Mary's obsession with Kate Moss and, through sheer persistence, finds Mary a week later at a Kate Moss exhibition. Unfortunately, he discovers that she now has a boyfriend. Tim finds out when and where they met at a party. He turns up early before the potential boyfriend arrives and persuades Mary to leave with him instead. Their relationship develops and Tim moves in with Mary. One night, he encounters Charlotte, who now seems interested in him, but Tim turns her down, realizing that he is in love with Mary. He proposes. They marry and fairly soon have a daughter they name Posey.
That is a lot of money.
Oh, a lot happens.
That
A
is
lot
so
happens.
much. Nate, you got anything to get us started on this re-meet?
Yes, well, I got a couple things. First of all, the music that always accompanies when he meets her got me. I loved it. It was the same little quiet, soft piano thing. I can't help but think that Ben Folds was playing it. Dave.
But also, like, because he's in that museum, and it's Friday I'm in Love is the song. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Dave?
that's a cover. Yeah,
But they're so good at how they write it because it's like they let the songs be the narrators at time too, because it shows every time it says a new day, you see him sitting there in a new outfit, hoping she's going to come in that day. It was just so brilliant. So you're dead on.
Well, and I mean, the soundtrack was amazing. It even had a Mr. Brightside at the very, I think it was at the party at the very beginning, which was a great throwback for me. But I meant just the solemn piano, like when they were
score.
together. I thought it was amazing by that. Now I will say, so I'll kind of jump back a little bit. So they leave the blind date, the dark dinner, and her friend walks out, and Jay, I think is his buddy, who's like been hitting off with
dodgy buddy. Yeah.
And then so she walks out first, and they go kind of off, and then there's like this tense little buildup when she walks out, and she walked out, and the only thing I saw were her awful bangs. That was the only thing I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then this is when it really got weird for me. I thought, man, that would be like Zooey Deschanel. And then I saw where originally Zooey Deschanel was going to be cast for that part, but she had a scheduling conflict and she couldn't go. And I thought, that's exactly what I thought, Mikey. I thought, what would this movie be like? How much would I hate this movie if Zoe was doing everything that Rachel did? I tried to explain it like there's like this, the actual movie, Zoe would have taken it like all the way to this point, and then Rachel was like here or just a little bit over there. And I was like, man, we really dodged a bullet. Believe it or not.
Like 500 Days of Summer, I loved that. I like Zoe okay.
Right.
But she would have bombed in this movie.
Dude, here's the problem. Rachel McAdams, and like all pretenses aside, is amazing actress, and she did the one thing I will pick out of this movie. She did not have a big enough part, but knowing that it was supposed to be Zooey Deschanel, that was probably the proper amount of time.
Yeah.
Not that she's a terrible actress, but like Rachel didn't have enough to do.
Well, she would have overdone it. She would have overdone
She would have.
It would
The
have
quirkiness, the librarianness. Yeah,
and also just those like quick one-liners. Like it was so seamless and effortless. Zoe, it would have just been too much. Yeah. Too much.
I've got one more thing, and then I'm going to bow out here for a second and let y'all talk. Have we met Rory yet? Like his best friend, the lawyer? I'm sure we have because he started his
Rory,
job or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw that guy. I have no idea who he is, but tell me I'm all about the comps. If Jason Biggs and Jack Black had a baby, would this guy not be it?
That's pretty good. That's pretty daggone good.
That's all I got. I liked Rory, though, for what it's worth. I liked him.
You forget that Tim is a lawyer throughout a lot of this movie because he seems like such a nice person. It was like, that doesn't exist. If any lawyers out there listen to this, prove me wrong. But, it's true. But his friend Rory is such a nice guy, too. It's like those people don't really exist in the world, only in this guy's mind. So anyways,
Brandon Bradley?
For which part? This beginning part?
Just this whole...
all the way up until the baby,
so
right?
much that happens.
Yeah. Just
what about the wedding, Bradley? What did you think about the wedding?
But even before we get there, I'll say one more thing. Like I thought it was brilliant because the party where they meet for the second time was so well done because he had all the ammunition of the Kate Moss stuff because he knew she loved her, and then he also had the ammunition of the things that went well in the first date. And so he put it all together in this brilliant thing. And then he took her to dinner and got her out of this party. She had a boyfriend too. We skipped over that. That guy was such a horrible human being. His name was Rupert. And I love that he just like walks by that guy, calls him a name, and she like agrees with him and never knew that she had a boyfriend with this guy. But anyways, all that being said, it was brilliant because you have this Hallmark, like better than Hallmark could ever dream, first meet cute. And now they go to this restaurant and have another, section that Hallmark wishes that they could write well again. And it was like, wow, two of them?
Yeah. Before we talk about that successful one, they had a horrible one too. And the one thing I want to say about that I really, maybe I'm overthinking it, but that's what I do in these movies, is he had the worst first and second impression with her when he walks up and he's like, Mary, and she's like, who are you? And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is where you walk away and you just do it over.
Yeah.
But he just hung in there.
He did reconnaissance.
Trying to make it work just as himself. Yeah. And I thought, man, I respect that. So I thought that was cool too.
That's interesting. I did not like it. I didn't understand why he wouldn't go back. Like what? I mean, I get why as a man you would just keep going, but as far as the movie goes, like why would he play that out? Why wouldn't he go back and redo it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he wanted to just see because he knew he had that as his back pocket.
Well, I say this, like for me, like I've just shot for stuff. I mean, I can't go back in time, but sometimes you just give it a shot. You just see what happens because you're like, well, who knows? And I just really like that and too, in that situation, I mean, think of all you learned. Like, you just gathered all this information, and then bam, I'm going to go back and perfect it. Because I think when I first watched it, I was like, man, it's like cheating. Like, you get so many times. But then the more I think about it, like, he liked her that much that he pursued her, even when she had a boyfriend, stole her away from that guy, and just kept learning so much about her. I mean, it's super romantic. Super romantic.
Well, I'll say he doesn't use time travel to get the girl. He got her the first time. He has to use time travel to fix that he lost her after he got her. Like, this movie doesn't portray him using it to get her, or that he needed it in order to get her because he got her the first time and then he screwed that up. It's really him just fixing that mistake. If he didn't have it, he would have had her from the beginning.
Time travel doesn't make people fall in love, and it says it earlier. Taylor, you're smart.
That's our compass, man. Is his his goodness is our compass, because it could get real creepy, real Invisible Man-ish real fast if they didn't set this ground rule that our main character is very dignified and cares. And thank goodness he did, because otherwise this could have been a very different movie.
For sure. Bradley, you were about to say something?
Yeah, no, I think that just segues into the next part, which is, I think I could probably narrow it down to about 3 scenes that just keep you so glued in. And that subway scene where the band starts playing, the montage where you don't get to see necessarily every event, but like them walking in. Yeah, they come in costumes one time. They're about to go, looks like to some formal thing. And then, you see Kit Kat with her. Like, obviously they've met. It's so brilliant. And the fact that band stays there and plays that song, which is, again, probably absolutely perfect for that moment.
So a lot of that's their like dating montage. So you get to see very fast how deep they care about each other. And one more thing I'll throw in. So before that montage happens, you get that second meet, third meet, whatever it is, like when they get it right for the second time. And he says, I have to put this line in because he says, you read for, that's what the girl he's going to marry reads for a living. She reads for publishers, which is very similar to his dad. Like, so he's got this tie in there. And then he says, I just worry, I worry that, you're going to read the menu and ask people to pay you for it. And then is a prostitute, not going to be able to have fun making sandwiches because they're a prostitute. And she says, you worry about prostitutes? How many prostitutes will you need to talk to before this issue can be solved? And he says, when you read a menu, do you think I'm not going to read this unless I get paid hard cash? And it's just this almost Harry Met Sally quick-witted thing that really, like you said, Bradley, there's like scenes, like whole pieces of this movie that really are just like brilliant. And I think, I think that is the montage and the all the meets are that. And so, it's such great, such great lines in it too.
And so before we get to the wedding, we need to talk about, he meets the parents. That's funny and awkward. Yeah. We could talk about that. But the night he goes to the play, because that's a big thing.
That was the moment for me.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. Anybody want to break into that?
You're talking about when he sees Charlotte?
Yeah.
Yeah. He sees Margot Robbie again. Yes. Yeah.
So he goes to the play, sees her, and he goes to talk to her, and then he like messes up the conversation a few times, and then he just like gives up. He's like, whatever, I don't really care. And you could tell in that moment, I don't really care. Like, it's her, whatever, and then leaves. And he thinks that he's like going back to his girl, and then of course she sees him again, and like outside when they're leaving, and then he goes and has dinner with her, walks her back to her room, and she's like inviting him in, and he's like, and another moment, it's almost as bad as the denying the girl the kiss in the first scene.
This is the moment, like you're wondering what's going to happen because it's Margot Robbie, right? And he's married now, right?
No,
so it's no, not yet. Okay, yeah, that's right, because that's the linchpin in the relationship. And it's like you can pull the grenade and rewind it and be a creepazoid for the rest of your life, live with that, or you can, be the bigger man. And that was the moment for me that I was all in on this character when he tells Margot Robbie he needs to go home because he's fallen. He realizes that if he messes this up with Rachel McAdams' character Mary, that he is the worthless piece of human. And what a beautiful scene. And I love that so much. And Rory, his friend, just said, man, if you make a sandwich with that lady, you'll go blind. If you make a sandwich with that lady, you're going to die on the spot. And then she comes up and wants to go on a date with him. And Rory's face when she does that is priceless. I laughed. I'm sitting there with my wife watching it, and she's like, oh my goodness. And I was like dying laughing. I was like, yep.
But that's how good this movie is, because we talked about earlier how when we saw Margot Robbie, we were like, that's the perfect girl for him to try to figure this out with. And then she comes back after you've talked about, you see Rachel McAdams and you see those bangs and you think of Zoe and whatnot. And you've got a choice in your head between Margot Robbie and Rachel McAdams. And you want him to pick McAdams.
Absolutely.
It's just so well done.
Yeah. I love it in movies when the character in that situation where he can be unfaithful is faithful, because a lot of times in real life that's not the case.
Absolutely.
But that's how it should be. And it's just cool because Margot Robbie is beautiful, but it does show the depth of their relationship. And again, the virtue of the character where, man, he wants something that's deep. There's a connection with her soul that he has. And so it's super heartwarming. How do you not root for him? So.
And you kind of feel like it's gonna happen, because this is the point in the movie where usually something happens that he's got to build back up redemption. Right. But he just doesn't go there.
It doesn't ever happen. And I kind of like that. I almost like there's tension in other places, but I'm so glad it's not between him and Rachel or Mary. So
yeah, we need more, high fidelity in movie, like championing of the relationship, and championing of marriage. Yes.
Yeah. So then he goes home right then. Once he leaves her, he proposes, and it sets us up for this wedding. And this wedding is a train wreck. Like outside, everything that could go wrong does. The rain, it blows away the tent. Everybody, I mean, they get monsoon soaked. And we find out that she's pregnant with their first child. And so, but this wedding goes crazy, and the whole time he's been struggling to figure out who his best man was. Is it going to be this playwright guy? Is it going to be what's his redheaded
Rory?
Rory the lawyer.
Dodgy
Jay.
And we get to see all three of them
because of the time travel.
Fail.
So that scene was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah.
Because Rory's best man speech was my brother's best man speech in my wedding.
That's terrible.
It was like, oh my gosh, nobody knows what you're talking about.
You're in the headlights, yeah.
I loved it.
But you can't go back.
And I think I was at a buddy's wedding whose Jay was like, his dodgy friend Jay was describing his conquests earlier. I had a friend who did that at another guy's wedding. I was like, why did you do that, you moron? But luckily, his dad bails him out, because his dad's always been his best man. Yes. And I love that. And not only that, his dad rewinds to do it again and make it even better.
And when he does, like, we haven't touched on this enough, but he talks about Uncle Desmond.
Yes.
Who you just can't help but love.
You gotta love him.
That guy, I don't know if I'll ever see him in anything else, but his acting in that moment, never says a word. Yeah. But when his dad says he loved him, just the look on his face, I thought that was some of the best acting in the movie. Like, so good.
That's good.
All right, anybody? Brandon, anything?
Oh, no.
Brandon, what would you do if your wedding was like theirs, just pouring rain
I do have something that really does bother me. If you're going to pay that much money to have cupcakes and you're not going to cover them, that is ridiculous.
I wondered if you were mad about the cupcakes, because they ruined like 90 cupcakes.
They're just sitting there. There's nothing those cupcakes did wrong. It's just people being careless, and that's what's wrong with the human generation, the human race. So that's all I have to say about that. But super endearing wedding. And I've got a lot to say about the dad, and I don't even know what it's going to be yet. But I really like him, and I liked him even more. I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to ramble.
So at this moment, like literally at this moment, I'm thinking, this is too good. Like, it's too good to be true. What, like, is this like click? Like, is something about to happen where, I was waiting for the water did fall from the monsoon opened up and the heavens came down. But I was ready for something crazy to happen. I was kind of on edge at this point.
Yeah, and I think, to this point, it's just driving home the fact that the imperfections are what makes life beautiful. And, they'll drive it home some more. But the rain, he asks Rachel McAdams' character, do you want me to rewind? Would you go back and do it any different with this rain and this busted up cupcakes? And she says, no, this was the perfect wedding. And like that right there says that's the whole movie in a single, single line, so
for sure.
But you're right. It's gotten too good, too good.
Yeah, I would just say a couple observations about the wedding ceremony scene is, one, she's wearing a red dress, which I don't.
Yeah,
did she ever say anything before, or did it just happen? I think it just happened, and it's implied once again, like that, and the little interaction, the subtle like dance moves that him and his dad like exchanged. When the music, some French or Italian random dude is now the song of their wedding, and once again, like, there's character development, but there's consistency, like, as the foundation. Like the world may think this is the weirdest, most non-traditional wedding, but it's their world and they love it. And I think they loved that there was rain and things were, like you said, the imperfections just makes this totally them. And them is like where they live the whole time, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like a red dress too, man. That's just so cool. I'd be good with a red dress at my little red dress, red lipstick, not red hair.
Red
Maybe
dress
hair.
like 5 times. I love it.
Red heels.
Well, Taylor, won't you take us on, buddy?
So Kit Kat's difficulties in life and her drinking lead her to crash her car on Posey's first birthday. As Kit Kat recovers, Tim decides to intervene in her life. He prevents the crash and takes Kit Kat back in time to avert her unhappy relationship with Jimmy. They manage to return to the present, where Tim finds Posey has never been born and he has a son instead. James explains that they cannot change events prior to their children's birth and ensure that exact child will still be conceived. Tim accepts that he cannot change his sister's life by changing her past. He allows the crash to occur, ensuring Posey's birth, and he and Mary help Kit Kat improve her own life. She settles down with Tim's friend Jay and has a child of her own. Tim and Mary have another child, a baby boy.
Is that the end of the synopsis?
No, there's another 2 shorter paragraphs.
Okay. All right. So that's a lot there, too.
I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. This is where, like, this is where I maybe I just need to read some quantum physics books on time travel. This is what I didn't really like about this movie is like, I just don't understand how you can go back and everything else can be the same. But I was expecting when he went back to save his sister that he found out that he wasn't with Rachel McAdams.
That's what I thought.
And I think I think that disconnect kind of left me, honestly, until the end. I thought it ended amazing, but until the end, like this like intermediate time, intermediary time. I was like, what do I really feel about this movie? So, but I was not a big fan of the time travel explanation or whatever. But I guess
what was it if they haven't been born and you go back, then it can alter that. Was that how it was explained?
Yeah, like it could alter the moment, like, what sperm makes it to the egg, all these things, like it could, a million different reasons. But yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, dude, time travel movies are always going to have an Achilles heel. And this one had a few with how in the world he just grabbed his sister's hand and they traveled through time together. Like nobody told, why can't you do that with everybody? And it's just, and not only that, when he grabbed his sister's hand, they ended up in the closet. But there was another time when he traveled back in time, and instead of being in the closet when he traveled back, he was sitting on a couch. So like, there's some weird time, and you can pick
inconsistencies.
Exactly, you can nitpick it to death. The last scene of the movie has a little bit of that. But like, man, if you just let the movie speak, then good. Just turn your critical, nitpicky brain off for a second. But yeah, totally.
I couldn't.
I know.
This is this 100%. Is I think, like, Mikey, this is like, I feel like if this movie was named Lake House, you would have destroyed the time travel part in this. But you're right, Dave. Like the movie 100%. Does speak way louder than those little inconsistencies, which I will admit, like in the end, I'm like, who cares? Like the way that it left me feeling a certain way, and I was cool with that.
Right. Well, and I just want you to know, and I want everyone watching or listening to know, that when I heard that this was time travel, I was ready to tear it apart. That's who I wanted to be, but I just never really got there. So, but yeah, he goes and tries to save his sister. He realizes if he does that, like Nate said, it changes his child instead of the rest of his life, which is kind of weird. But then they realize his sister's just got to go through this and learn. And so they're there. They help her through it. And then what are we missing anything?
The only thing that I worried about too with the time travel stuff was he learns he can't go back before his baby's born, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have still stopped his sister from getting a car wreck.
Right.
But I wondered if maybe he still allowed her to do that just to kind of like let it be that real, since he knows she's still alive, like let it be that real for her. And so I still like Kit Kat. I think going on, you'll say like, who's your favorite character? She's my least favorite. Like she's not as developed as all the others, but it's still like you said, man, this guy's heart for others is so much that even the people I would probably run away from in life, like turn away from, he goes head first into trying to help them out, including, and when it's your own sister, I get it. I have a brother that is sometimes the best, but sometimes not. And you do whatever you can, man, to help family. And so
I get that too. Brandon, Bradley?
Brandon?
I think that this is just Kit Kat's a great name. It's one of my favorite. I went to Nepal one time, and when I came back, first thing I had Kit Kat McFlurry. So I love Kit Kat, and I love Kit Kats, and so I'm glad she's okay and made it through the car crash.
Don't ever change, man. Good. Don't ever change. That was just so good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Bradley, anything?
I'm good. Y'all have covered it well.
Okay, so I think.
Listen, I think we could combine these last two, Taylor.
Yeah, go ahead
Sure.
and just combine them.
We'll finish it out. So Tim learns his father has terminal cancer that time travel cannot change. His father is known for some time, but kept traveling back in time to effectively extend his life and spend more time with his family. He tells Tim to live each day twice in order to be truly happy. First, with all the everyday tensions and worries, but the second time, noticing how sweet the world can be. Tim follows this advice. His father dies, but Tim travels to the past to visit him whenever he misses him. Mary tells Tim. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
No, go ahead. Okay. You're good.
Mary tells Tim she wants a third child. He is reluctant because it means he will not be able to visit his father again. Tim tells his father that he cannot visit anymore, and together they travel back to relive a fond memory from Tim's early childhood. Mary gives birth to a baby girl, and Tim knows he can never see his father again. Tim comes to realize that it is better to live each day once and appreciate life with his family as if he were living it for the second time.
All right. Bradley, kick us off.
I just want at the very beginning of that, like right before they find out that the dad has cancer, the dress scene is like where she's trying on all the dresses to get.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
So
I mean, it's so. If you're married, you just understand that is like in a lot of situations.
Yep.
That's the most real thing, and I was just dying laughing.
My wife watched that with a smirk,
good.
knowing she's done that to me 100 times. And it's like, that first dress was the bomb.com. And then you put on something that was not the bomb, but I can't say it's not the bomb. And then you put on something that's pretty good. But let's go back to the beginning after an hour, and you nailed it. You nailed it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. That was an incredible scene.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm trying to think. Were the best.
I love that. I just love how endearing the father is. I love when he goes back in time. I hope I'm not speaking too early, but that he lets the last time he goes and sees his dad, he lets him win at ping pong, and they have that sweet walk on the beach, and even the advice to go through every day and live it again. And maybe we already mentioned this, but you relive it, but you don't change anything. You just enjoy it. And that did hit home because I am, believe it or not, I get super anxious and you get super stressed. And I miss so many of just the sweet joys in a day. And there's so many days I go back and I'm sitting in my bed, I'm kind of thinking about the day. And I think, man, I didn't think about anything but how worried I was about a project. And I totally missed all the people I saw, or didn't think about the Lord at all. And it kind of makes you sad. It made me think a little bit. It's where it got deep. Even though I didn't like it up until this point, this is where I fell in love with this.
Well, and that montage that's the thing this movie's done well, is when there's a montage, it's going to get a grand slam every time. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, I think, again, like they travel back to when he was 5, which is way before all the kids were born. But all that being said, like they said they're not going to change anything about that day. And so maybe that's why the kids can still be born the way they are.
And
I
didn't catch that, and I didn't catch what Nate was saying. But the one thing that bothered me, the only time the time travel I was like, well, this doesn't make sense, was because I listened to what the dad said about as long as they're not born, it doesn't change. And so I was just like, sure, that makes sense. But then, like, she's about to bust being pregnant, and he goes back and sees his dad, like, I mean, we don't know how many times. And I'm thinking, how many times did that baby change? Like,
in the womb.
Like that, he's probably had 14 kids in there, and we just didn't even know it. So that was the one that I got kind of hung up on. Yeah.
But all that being said, like, I straight up dude cried hard at all the dad stuff because it's like Click too. I sobbed during Click because it's like it makes you just want to call and hug on your dad, man, because no matter what the relationship is, for me it's love, man. My dad always has told me that and never would be shy to tell me that. And so like, it just makes me want to drive to Indiana and hug my dad like instantly. And there's a beauty to that, man. The actor Bill Nighy nailed it. And so did Domnhall Gleeson, however you say his name, Domhnall Gleeson.
And it's also like Nate said, like right from the get-go though, like this dad is, I mean, in a world, romance movies are a world of fantastic dads.
Yeah.
And this dude might be at the top, but it's because, you know, he's gone back and gave them nothing but the best memories. Mm-hmm. And that's just so cool. So that was really good. The only other thing that I want to touch on, and then if you guys have anything, was by the time the movie wraps, he decides he doesn't even want to use that gift anymore because he loves his life just the way it is.
Yes.
And his dad has taught him, you know, to make that second day count. So he's just making them all those second days. And I thought that was really cool. So if anybody else has anything.
Well, just that scene where he goes back and you see the film through the crudiness, like Brandon was saying, of oh, that's Dave. Man, this day was awful. And then he gets home and his wife is like, oh, it's too bad it was awful. I could have, you know, made you happy in some way. And he's like, oh, you know,
love a good sandwich.
He goes back and relives it again, and he sees all the beauty, even in this mundane, horrible stuff. And then they make sandwiches again. Like, it's just a beautiful thing. This marriage and life and even the mundaneness is like, it is very heartwarming.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
One question. Well, we'll get to it in a minute. Anybody else got anything else about the movie? Brandon, Bradley, Nathan.
All my stuff ties into the final thoughts.
Brandon?
Nothing.
Bradley?
I would just say and I don't know if this is a British thing or just whatever, but just the bluntness and honesty that they have. I don't know why, but one of the lines that really struck with me was when the mom answered the door when they were coming to visit the dad. And she just said, I am so uninterested in a life without your father. And
that is
so
great.
good.
Oh, I was just, it just got me. And it honestly made me think, like, am I that direct? Or do I don't know. And it just, I don't know. That was the theme for the whole thing.
And what about the uncle? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's when I cried he tells him, when your dad said that he loved me in your best man speech, it was the best day of my life. And today is probably the worst because he's passed
So
away.
matter of fact and direct and blunt is just so good.
He only has like 10 lines, maybe 5 lines, and 4 of them are nonsense. But that one line makes him the man in the movie. Yeah.
So good.
So I'll go ahead and touch on one of the things I was going to ask then. Is Uncle Desmond mom's side or dad's side, or does it say?
I don't know if it ever. I think he's dad's side. I don't know.
Because I wondered if he had the gift.
No, I don't think he is. I think he's mom's side.
He must be mom's side.
Okay.
Huh?
That's what I was.
Sure.
That kind of tied into some questions I had. And so I didn't know if they ever said that or not.
They never do.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. I mean, that's all I got. If everybody else is.
Yeah.
Let's just wrap.
Let's go to the
this thing
final
up.
thoughts.
Dave, give us your favorite character, final thoughts, and butterfly tattoo scale.
Okay, so the best character, man, it's so hard. There's so many little characters. The best character is Tim because of his moral compass, because he's who we need to be. And it's like to turn down Margot Robbie and not make it creepy, to try again, to allow your friend's play to go off without a hitch while sacrificing your love of your life. Like, I mean, he's the man. The underdog character is hands down to me is Rachel McAdams. Mary said, she's so brilliant in every scene she's in with him. Like the chemistry is like daggum Breaking Bad, you know, like Walter White chemistry greatness, you know, and she's not in it nearly enough. Which thanks to whoever added that Nate said Zooey Deschanel would have been there. Maybe that's why they didn't give her quite as much playing room. And I would say that that the only thing I didn't like was all those characters, almost everyone deserved their own part of the movie. This movie could have been 6 hours long. I would have watched all 6 hours because I want to know about Uncle Desmond. I want to know about the mom. I want to know about Rory. I want to see Rory's like ridiculous, stupid escapades. And like, there were so many great characters that it needed more. And then what else is going on? Butterfly tattoos. Well,
yeah, just rate it.
Final thought is this. this movie, movies. I don't know. It's not a movie. It's cinema, I guess, would be the difference. And I want to be moved emotionally. I want to be moved even physically to drive to Terre Haute and hug my dad. Like, I want to be inspired to change. I am less than 10 days away from being a dad, possibly. And so this was just kind of focused my perspective of what matters. Like, there's some things going on in the pregnancy, and there's COVID-19, and there's a storm happening outside our house. Our power got knocked out. And in all of that, I am realizing that God is in control, and that we need to cherish every moment, that we are so blessed. And for a movie to realign my focus like this one did, that's why I go to movies. That's why I turn a movie on. It's not to be entertained. Now, we've been watching Avengers 2 as well, and it doesn't leave you like this does. And so that's my final thought, which means my butterflies out of 5, 4.8. Like Nate said, you can nitpick the little pieces here and there of time travel and the loopholes. There are loopholes, but if you just want to be moved and have your heart made right, then watch it. I wish there's language in it and stuff. It didn't need to be rated R, but other than that, like, man, 4.8. Yeah, brilliant.
Brandon, you came into this giving it a half of a butterfly. Why don't you jump in here?
I
have a feeling your mind has been changed.
Everybody, first of all, favorite character, you got old Kit Kat, got one of the best candy names, and I just flat like her. And you got old, that dude with the crazy red hair sticking up all over the place, bebop around. He was up there. And then, of course, the virtuous main character. You got the father, which I do. I love a strong, gentle, kind, wonderful male figure. I long for that. Or just see people like that. But my favorite character has to be the magic. I mean, come on.
The magic.
Oh, the magic makes the way for the love. The magic makes the way for the sentimental times. The magic makes the way for the dad to be pretty incredible. So the magic is my favorite character. I really did not like this up until the end, until the dad had cancer. And that really redeemed it for me when they really just showed just the cinema side, and like how he used the time travel. Not only like it just didn't work out so smoothly. I felt like up until that point, if he just used his time travel, it was easy, and so it became more challenging when he used it, and there were limitations on it. So I really liked that. I would have loved this a lot more if I did not miss the darn scene of the theater.
If you watched the actual movie, you would have.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that well, guys. I didn't do a good job. Go figure, right? But after all this, and after this, I was going to do negative 50,000 butterfly tattoos.
Wow.
I was.
Wow.
But lo and behold, we have had a complete 180, my friends, and I'm going to go 75 million butterfly.
That's a big
tattoos.
number.
I mean,
What a jump.
That's a 75,500,000 jump, man. That is huge.
That's enormous.
Huge turnaround.
Would you watch this again?
I do. I kind of want to watch it again. Like, I don't know. You want to watch it when this is over?
Sure.
And watch Bill Nye's face. Watch his dad's face when you do.
Yeah, I want to watch. I like his, and he is such a wizard-esque man. I mean, he's very wizardy. So I like him.
Speaking of wizards and magic, Brandon, what do you think the theme song to this movie would be?
Oh.
I was going on a run today, and I thought of something. It's going to be weird. It's not going to be super long, but I'm going to go back to my old friend, old Jay-Z, and pull one of these. So I got 99 problems, but time travel ain't one. If you're having girl problems, apple bat for your son. Remix, Khaled music, DJ Khaled. Hey, Colin, we taking over one time travel at a time. It's a mashup of two different rap songs I used to listen to on my Fire Buddy. So I'm done. I got nothing more to say.
That was fantastic. Nate, Bradley, you guys want to go?
I'll go. Bradley, this is one of your wife's favorite movies, right? Okay, I'll go first, and then you can take off. So my favorite character, I think, would so
many.
All throughout, I'm gonna be honest. All throughout of it, it was the dad, and then I got to thinking about why he was such a good dad and why he was such a good guy. And I was like, it seems kind of cheap that's how he got to be such a great. And so that kind of knocked him down. I think Dave's right. Like Tim, even as we've kind of hashed out all of the reasons why he goes back in time, they aren't for himself.
Right.
Like they're not even so that he would find love necessarily. Like he only goes to track down Mary after he realizes he's messed it up. But that's not why he went back in time. And so I think that just from the get-go, like, he's the underdog character, and I know he's the lead guy. And honestly, Dave, I think that's why everybody else kind of was down, because he is such an unnoticeable guy,
right,
that they almost had to downplay everybody else so that he could shine. And he did. He rocked. He was really great.
Dude, there's not many movies where the lead character is the best character. That a lot of times you're rooting for other people. So yeah. I digress. But great choice.
No, I think you're right in that. I'll say I think I have a theory on not a crazy theory, but a theory on why people like this movie so much. I think honestly, like there's a lot of people who the soothing piano, like as soon as it opens with Ben Folds, The Luckiest, they're like, oh yeah. Like they're like zoned in. And
it's like hot chocolate.
And then you get this character who is so unassuming. And like if we were to see Tim out, we wouldn't notice it. Like, and you realize this is about him. So automatically, like our spirits are lifted, like we're up, and all the things that happen so I think the British wit and the dry humor, I'm a big fan of. I love just the way that, Bradley said directness. But I think I wrote down that it said our expectations low. And maybe that's a poor choice of word, because it didn't really set them as low, but it kind of like eliminated a lot of, like if this was, I'm trying to think of some other, like if this was some other guy playing this role, I don't know that we like him so much. Right. I think it was the perfect cast. Shout out, goofy movie. I will say I was not the time travel. I just didn't. I wasn't into. I thought that the story they told was so grand. Yeah. Like it was so great. And my favorite thing, I was talking with Bradley about this earlier, like it all gets drowned out for me because his whole conversation with his dad about the hints to time travel, about how you live one day like you would, and then you go back and you live it the same way, but you try to live it in a way that lifts other people up, and that you don't worry about the things, and you really just make an impact on people. And you can see, like, he wrote that sign for Rory when the guy was yelling at him in the deposition, and then he actually made eye contact with the waitress or the lady at the
barista
place, and like you could just see, like, so that was really appreciated until the point, and then at the end he said, now I just live every day as if that's the case, and that's a really cool thing, and I like that. I loved a whole lot. I think that message is so good, and it was very, I say clean in a sense that, like, it didn't celebrate a lot of things that other things celebrate. Like it didn't go the route of him, like you said, Dave, going this route of hitting it off with Margot Robbie. Like, right. He ran from it, and like he got it right, and so for all that stuff, I think I really enjoyed the movie. But I'll be honest, I would only watch it again because of our conversation. And like, I would want to pick up on some of these small things. I wasn't crazy. Like, I don't know how to say that anyway, other way. Like I probably, before this podcast, I probably wouldn't have, I thought it was a decent movie, but I probably wouldn't have gone back and watched it intentionally. But I think I would go watch it again just to pick up on all those little things. I'm going to rate it at 3.9. I really do think that the time travel, like, inconsistencies got me off. So I don't think I can crush it. Like, I'm not going to give it a 5, but I will say this is the best movie that we've done this year. I do really enjoy that. I think it's the highest I've gotten. I hope it is anyway.
Did Claude watch it with you?
She did. She was kind of working on some stuff too. She was kind of in the same boat. I think, like Brandon, she missed a couple of things that were subtle that you like. She's like, why is he doing that? And it's like, well, because right. We didn't want to study quantum physics, so we didn't really get there. As far as my movie comps, I wrote down a lot. I think the one that really it connects well with me, Dave, you said it, Click. Like, just the way that it makes you think, I wish I could go back and change this. Click, it was, I want to get through this. And then so you got the whole fast forward thing. With this, it's like, I wish I could go change it. And the way that it gets you to think about what you're really missing when you do that. Yeah. So I really think that's the best one. I think from the British side of things, Notting Hill, like, I really loved it when we did that. So you bring in the British banter, like the dry humor, just I think the way they say things in general is just so poetic and so beautiful, the way they speak. And so when you've got that basically the whole movie, I think that's awesome. And then the last one, this is going to be such a stretch. So Dave, this is where you'll have to tell Harmony to stop watching this. Avengers Endgame. And I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but like when you watch Endgame, you're like, man, well, the line that always sticks out to me is Doctor Strange says, no, I'm sorry. It's Doctor Strange's like guru or whoever. I even forget who's meeting with it. Yeah. It may have been Thor. And she's like, basically the theme of it is, I'm trying not to give away any spoilers but it had to happen this way. And so like the reason all this crap stuff is happening is the only way that it could have succeeded in the end. Right. And because Doctor Strange's character knew that, he did something in the very beginning, which told somebody else that was like, oh, well then, this is okay. Then I've got to do what I've got to do. It's the only way it works. So in that sense, I think that this movie does play a little bit of that. Like, yeah, you could go back and relive all those things, but like, really, why not just live your life for the first time in light of all that? So that's great. Those are my comps. I also had Butterfly Effect on there. I X'd that one out.
Groundhog Day too. People say that, but like to me, it's more like you're saying, Click and even an Endgame. Like, way to tie that in. That's brilliant.
All right, Bradley, I think I'm going to let you finish, and I'm going to jump in here. This movie, my favorite character. This is tough because even like the stuff that you don't like about Kit Kat, she's still fine. And so there wasn't a character I didn't like. But there was one that I loved. And while Tim is the best character in the movie, for me, it's Uncle Desmond. Mm-hmm. That dude, like every time he got on, I smiled and I just loved him. And then when he said that thing at the funeral, like that made me feel more than anything we've watched in either season. Like that just got to the core of me, and I was like, "That gone." So that was fantastic.
Did you cry?
I didn't, but I could have. Unsung hero again. I struggled hard with this, so this isn't going to be as good as probably what I usually do when I pull out some weirdo out of my butt and make it work. But to me, in this movie, it's the narration. Like it's not Tim; it's Tim's inner monologue, because that just set the tone for the whole movie. And then every time it came back, it made me want to know what was going to happen next. Narration can be done really well or really poorly. It can make or break a movie, and it made this movie so good. Made you feel like you weren't just you. It gave it extra points for me because it was so good. Because sometimes narration will make me tune out so fast, but I bought in so hard with this. Final thoughts, and I've kind of said a lot of this. There wasn't a bad character. Everybody in the movie was really, really good.
Rupert was pretty awful.
Yeah, Rupert.
Oh yeah,
but he got dismissed pretty hard.
Yeah, but then she kicks him to the curb. Yeah, it covers a lot of time. And I think it's over a 2-hour movie, but I never got bored. Like I was never like, man, I wish this would end. Like I enjoyed it. The concept to this is so ridiculous, and I wanted to hate it, but I couldn't. I tried really hard to find holes that I could tear apart, and I never could. Claudia gives me so much crap because I didn't like Notting Hill. I hated Pride and Prejudice. Like she likes to poke at me for making fun of these British movies. But like Nate said, the way it was acted, the way it was filmed, I bought into everything. It gives you a moral at the end, like you learn. I think this is my favorite movie we've done, period. So in saying that,
Brandon's eyes.
It is. It's my favorite one we've done.
Better than Costner?
I know. Costner, I'm going to give a 5 to because he's Costner. But this movie, like, if we did our movie draft, this would be my number one pick. Wow. And for as many people who said we need to do this movie, I've heard so many others that don't even know what it is. Wow. And I can't understand after watching how bad romance movies are that this isn't a classic. I don't get it. I can't wrap my head around it. And so for that, I'm giving it a 5.
Whoa!
Gosh.
Put the women and children to bed. History has been made.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
All right, Brad.
Glad I get to follow that.
You got to open and close, man.
It's pretty special. Yeah, this is my wife's one of her favorite movies, and basically y'all have kind of covered why. There's a lot of reasons why this could be. I'll do my segment, and then my favorite character and final thoughts kind of coincide. So, Guy Friendly. The only thing I could think of.
I forgot to. Can I jump in after you and do my Guy Friendly?
Go for it. Go for it now. Go for it now.
Okay, because I thought this is brilliant. So, I mean, this is a Guy Friendly movie. Let's be honest. But what if taking all these things that splintered, like when he went back in time, what if each reality splintered from each other, right? So we take this time travel deeper with the Guy film, right? So that the Tim character, who's Domhnall Gleeson, ends up working for Kylo Ren in Star Wars because he's become so evil by splitting his character so much that he becomes a member of the Star Wars. But he does help. Spoiler alert for the last Star Wars, he's an important part of that as well. What if Bill Nighy's character becomes so evil that because there's so much love going on when they keep coming back in time, what if the evil doppelganger turns into the Lord of the Underworld, Davy Jones, right? And to top all of these things off, what if by splintering time so much that Rachel McAdams' Mary becomes the hero of all of it? I forget her name, but
Gina George.
Gina George in Mean Girls. So you got Gina George, Davy Jones, and I don't know what Domhnall Gleeson's character in Star Wars is, but they're all pretty evil people. And they're all the doppelgangers for the beauty of this movie. I thought that would be pretty manly if somehow they, at the end, like an ending credit scene like Marvel, it shows what happens when he splits, that they become more evil out on this reality. Yeah. And so we follow their path into the movies that led them into their evil demise.
I like that.
That was deep, Dave.
I really like that.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Brad.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. No, glad I get to follow that too. That's really good.
I was going to
awesome.
finish with it, but
nah, that's a mistake on my part.
Hey, Taylor talks after you. You're fine.
Okay, cool.
So the Croker brand version of Guy Friendly ending after that is I was just going to say that I think instead of the car crash, that development of Kit Kat, instead of that kind of conflict, I would have loved actually if Uncle Desmond was the dad's brother, and there's a reason he's so aloof. It involves time travel. If that was revealed, I think that would have been a cool
that's what I was hoping. That's why I
would
asked.
have made a little Guy Friendly. So that was my obvious, way less interesting Guy Friendly take. My favorite character is Tim, and I think everybody has a different viewpoint of why he's the favorite character. For me, a lot of it comes down to confidence. You see a guy for the first half of the movie that a lot of his confidence comes in certainty. You know, he's so certain when he travels back in time, you see a whole new Tim, where even from the New Year's party, if the result isn't there 100%, he kind of caves and goes to what's safe. I mean, even the handshake was the safer option. Obviously, the consequences weren't. But you see throughout the movie that really, to live a full life, you don't get the best results. It's knowing who you are and being fully confident in who you are. And obviously for the guys like in this podcast, we are confident in our faith in who made us, and we rest in that. And so we can live life to the fullest. And not only that, but the people that are around us and our community of people. I mean, that's what Tim did. He was confident in the people in his life, confident in finally in who he was, that he could grow up to be the quirky dad that he had. He could be that to his kids. He could be the guy who does make mistakes, who goofs up. And even in the scenes of where he lives the same day twice, they're not like perfect. He doesn't save the day. Like the guy still yells at Rory, like he still has to pay for his food, but like he makes the most of it. And so just the making the most of life in using your time. I mean, I just relate to that a lot. I'm a very overthinker, low confidence person, but when I think of who made me, how I'm made, I can't be everything, but thanks to the people around me, thanks to my wife and my best friends, like living life to the fullest is possible, to be fully yourself. I just think Tim embodies that so well. And so I don't know if this I mean, obviously, I love this movie. I was really excited for us to do this. I wanted to give this a 5. I wanted to kind of do that, but I didn't feel like it was my place. I'm really glad Mikey did, so we have some representation. I would give it a 4.8 as well. I want everybody to see this. I may be a little more on the strict or conservative side, just like the language I can kind of overlook. There are a few sandwich scenes that I wouldn't let probably my future kids see until a little bit later on. That's the only thing that knocks it down. But the story, I mean, the depth is incredible. So 4.8.
So good. So all right. So now we've got Taylor, sound man Taylor. Taylor watched this with me. And so I'm going to ask you a little different than I normally do. I want you to tell us if you had never seen it, if this podcast would make you want to watch it. If you say no, you're done. But then also, because I think you really enjoyed it, you give your final thoughts too. So go ahead.
Okay. So I think if I was hearing this for the first time, not seen the movie, I would watch this after listening to you guys talk about it. This has been thoroughly enjoyable for me to sit back and hear you guys talk about this film, and even more enjoyable to you having watched it. And I think part of the I'd even recommend this to people. And with time travel movies, I'm always down to watch them. I'm always weary of them because it's really hard. And you guys have touched on that there are little things here and there where you're like, does that really make sense? Does that fit within my rudimentary understanding of quantum physics? But this movie does what like great science fiction movies do. And at the end of it, you don't walk out talking about the science fiction. You walk out talking about what it makes you think about. And, this movie isn't remembered for the time travel. It's remembered for how they deal with life and how they choose to look at life going forward. And they use that as kind of the medium to do that. But again, I think that my dad has always told me that great science fiction isn't about the science. It's always about taking something and that idea, you have to deal with the moral or the ethical consequences. And that's what you're left with of what would it be like if that happened. So
that's what someone who time travels would say. I bet your dad travels through time.
Probably. That's how I'm sure that's how he finished his PhD while we were all in school doing a full-time job. It must have been time travel.
Well, there you have it. We have knocked this guy. I would not want to be the movie that has to follow this one.
What is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Not me either.
But this has been a good one. This might be the longest episode we've ever done.
Sorry, it's always my fault. I apologize every time.
I think
this one was 2.5 hours. Thanks, Dave.
I think it was so good. Like just the depth of this one. You might not laugh as much, but like you're just gonna feel. Unless you're Brandon, you're gonna miss everything until you listen to it a second time.
Well,
then you're gonna love
laugh.
it. So give it.
I'm in tune with my time travel. I would be perfect.
Live through this podcast, then go back and live through it again through Brandon's second eyes. So I think you'll really enjoy it that way. Listen to the podcast, watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, guys, it's always an honor too, man. I've never gotten to do a podcast with Nate McDivitt.
Hey,
I've always been his stand-in, so I'm grateful.
Yeah, you were a thorough stand-in, and now we both get to do it together. It was great. Yeah. I'm glad that this one meant so much to you.
Coming together, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, brother.
For the people that don't know, they were called the Mega Powers.
Of course you know.
I love 80s wrestling. And Dave, I don't know if we said this at the beginning, but Dave has done our new opening, which just really sets us apart, I think. Yeah. So that's incredible. Thanks so much for doing it. Guys, this has been a Talk to Remember. You may not remember the movie, but we hope you remember the talk. Bye.
Peace.
For romance, somehow these dudes are our only hope.
I hope you do not remember the movie, but you know the talk. Bye.